Hey guys, Chris here from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. There's been a lot joined recently. We've had some very unfortunate health news with Christine regarding breast cancer. I'm not going to go on about that in my regular videos, but we have set up a separate channel, and I'll put the link underneath if you want to follow that journey. We're going to try and keep our channels as normal as possible, and we feel that staying involved with what we do is going to be a good thing for everyone. So this way you'll get content, we'll be distracted, hopefully everything's good. This week we have another pickup from the local charity shop. Every Monday I go there and pick up their e-waste, stuff that they would normally take to the transfer station, but I'm dead set keen on saving as much of this from going into the waste stream as possible. So this week we have a couple of boxes and a printer, and I go through it each week with you. Yeah, I call it a marathon. Sometimes it is. This week's probably shouldn't be too bad. And we'll see what we can save. We'll test things. We'll clean them up. Sometimes we'll fix them. And we'll see what we can sell through my secondhand shop. And, make a few bucks. But it's not about that. It's about keeping things in circulation. Let's have a look and see what we've got this week. So I have two large tubs here. But this tub really is just filled with a couple of hanging lights. Couple of ceiling lights, so we'll probably get them out first. No, actually I'll move this tub out of the road, it's too big. We'll go through this one. There's a printer underneath which we'll check just to see if it maybe still has ink in it. Printers are really a pain with e-waste. Can't do a lot with them. They're just not worth selling secondhand, and generally, as most of you will know, the printer cartridges are more expensive than buying a new printer, and it really is a shame that happens. So much waste. All right, we'll get these lights off the table. And now we can go through this tub. I'm not really sure what's in here. On the top we have a coffee percolator. It's one of the old filter ones. So electrically they're pretty simple. It really just has a heating element. And this one looks complete. What brand is it? It's Black & Decker. It's a little bit scratched. It's obviously been in storage for a while. It's quite dusty. But someone may still buy it. And, we might only get $5 for it. I'll make sure it's complete. We'll test it. And make sure it's safe. Maybe put a tag on it. Oh, look, it's got a tag. Is it still in date? It was sold through an opportunity shop, and it doesn't look like it was actually tested. Oh, yeah, it's got a date of 23, so it's out of date. We can test it anyway. We'll do that shortly. Let's get the rest of the stuff out of this box. Another lamp, and lamps are great. I had a heap of lamps last week, and I think I've sold them all. And that's another thing we do on this series. I will check the previous week's notepad lists and see what we've sold, so that when I tell you guys I'll get $10 for this, perhaps not this, but you never know, then I can actually show you when we do, and the fact that, I'm not just throwing around prices. We actually do get some money back on it, which usually isn't worth my time. That's not a bad lamp. It's a bit of a weird shade, but we probably will get $10 for that. So I like to do that. It keeps me accountable, and I do have a very strict pricing policy with my e-waste, because my secondhand shop is really more of an antiques and collectibles shop. I don't want general secondhand electrical stuff, especially kitchen appliances and that. I don't want them hanging around too long. So I have a price for 2 weeks. If they haven't sold in that 2 weeks, I drop them to half price. And if they haven't sold after a couple of weeks or so at half price, they become free. I'd rather give them away, even if I've gone to the trouble of testing them and tagging them. I'd rather give them away than throw them into the waste stream. Philips power transmit. Is this like a baby monitor or an intercom? It says torque. It's an older version that doesn't have sleeves on the pins of the power pack. So, and there might be another part of it. Oh, it looks like there is. Maybe it is an intercom or a baby monitor or something like that. That one's quite yellowed. UV rays from the sun do yellow some plastics, and this one's certainly been affected. Doesn't really affect the performance, and you can restore the plastic by a process called retrobright, and it uses hydrogen peroxide, and it will actually bring it back to fairly well original condition. There takes 4 batteries, but at least they haven't been left in, so there's no corrosion. I guess we can check this out and see if it works. We might get something for it. And what else is in this? Oh, that's the power pack for that one. Oh yeah, a charging dock. Okay. And exciting, we get a second-hand plastic bag. You would be amazed. we get quite excited about getting plastic bags for the shop because we don't buy new bags. A lot of towns these days are actually plastic bag free, and we reuse every second-hand bag we get, as long as it obviously hasn't got holes in it and it's clean. So we get excited getting plastic bags. All right, also in this series, I challenge myself each week to buy something from the charity shop and actually flip it and make a profit. So just a little bit of a sideline. This is a vintage, probably 1970s copper, brass, what would you call it, a jug, a pitcher. It's fairly small. It would certainly be worth more than the scrap metal price. I think I could possibly ask $10 for that. People do collect copper and brass items. It's got your classic sort of Dutch scene on it, similar, looks like drunken Dutchmen sitting around the table. Yes, definitely that guy looks like he's asleep and he's holding a jug of some sort of plonk. I don't know if that's representative of Dutch people, but a lot of fire screens you see that. Anyway, perhaps they just have a good time. I've never been to Holland. And this one, so I paid $1 for that. I think we can get 10. And this one, actually, even though it is electrical, it was in the charity shop for $4. And it's obviously a fan. It has a, I guess it's a cordless one. So it plugs into USB. It has the modern USB-C plug there. So it's fairly current. It's not an old one at all. And it says an outdoor fan. But I think that actually might be really handy inside if you have a power outage. Might even be something I keep because we get a lot of power outages here. We do have a generator here, but it's a bit of a pain to fire up the generator late at night. And if you're trying to sleep and the ceiling fan doesn't work, on the hot Australian sweltering summer nights, this might be just the bee's knees. So we'll probably keep that one. All right, the rest of this box we have some, printer cartridges. I wonder if they suit the printer we've got. Canon? Looks like it is a Canon. Well, if we actually have new cartridges, we'll probably use that printer. Very good. Hope they fit. And there's also a CD. That looks like the installation disc, so I think that is for the printer as well. Well, now I'm hoping the printer works. I normally get depressed seeing printers, but we might get a good one there. We do have a good printer at the shop, but it's always handy to have another one where we can do photocopying because we have stock sheets at the shop and we like to, obviously if we don't have to spend ink on our main printer, we can use this one. Here we have a Philips, I guess it's a clock radio. That's probably the screen. There'd be big LED lights there. So clock radios sell quite well, fairly modern one. We'll give that a test. We should get $10 for that one. There's some Christmas lights here, are they? Or just bud lights? I usually give these away for free. I don't try and sell them. They're so cheap to buy new. I don't want to just cut them up for the electrical scrap copper wire when someone might use them. So I'll probably give those away for free. We'll check them to see if they work. What else is in here? We have, there's a lot of little things. Another little clock radio. Audio Sonic, quite a tiny one. Perhaps a good travelling clock radio, so we'll see if that works. And we have a antenna. I think this would be a TV antenna, an indoor one, or maybe FM. Doesn't actually say. I'm not sure if I've got a charger for it, but I will have one at the shop for sure. Doesn't look damaged. So hopefully that has a market as well. But it looks... yeah, definitely TV, I would say. So we might even give that a test. I doubt I'll pick up anything in my shed here with this one, but it will sell through the shop, probably just for $5, and hopefully help get someone out of trouble. There's also a remote control for a Panasonic audio system, which I don't have. I do like remote controls. In fact, I did have a Panasonic. Oh, that was a DVD player that I needed a remote for. So yeah, I'll put this one in my box of remotes and we may well use it one day. I'll check the batteries. Don't like leaving batteries in there, they do corrode. But sometimes I get some brand new batteries in old remotes. The last thing in here looks like a little toothbrush charger. It's quite dirty actually. So I don't think I'm going to do anything with that other than just chop the cord off and put that in the scrap. So there we go, that empties this tub. And other than the printer and our big lights in the other tub, that's all we've picked up this week, so let's go and sort it out and give a few things a test. We'll get some bigger things off the bench first, so we'll start with this lamp. The shade's a bit unusual. It looks like it's had leaves put on here and some sort of tissue over it. I don't know if they were real leaves, but the tissue is broken up a bit, so I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Someone will either love it as it is or replace the shade. Sometimes I do sell lamps and people actually say to me, do you want the shade? Because I only wanted the base. Okay, let's power it up through the appliance tester. It has an LED globe in it. There we go. Quite a nice subtle glow. The shade doesn't let a lot of light through. Good solid square base. It kind of needs the square shade with the square base, and I don't have any spare square shades. But that's okay, it works fine. It's safe according to my appliance tester. So I think we'll go $10 on that, just as it is. Lamps are good. I can make up some reasonable value for very little time with lamps. With the lamp out of the way, it's time to have a look at this coffee percolator and make sure it's all here. Doesn't that lid open? Okay, the top opens. You fill it with water in there. There'll be a heating element down the bottom. And how does this come out? Oh, okay. Oh, look at that. It opens like that. Oh, it's a bit grimy. And the filter is no good. Other than being stained, the plastic looks like it's all cracked and fractured in there. Not sure if it's gone brittle, but that's not usable. That's fairly dirty. But given that we don't have a filter that's usable, I think we're just going to have to send this one to Ewaste. I don't know if the jug's worthwhile. I might just clean the top off. I might put the jug in the free box at the shop, or even the dollar box. Someone might pay $1 for it. It is a Pyrex jug that can handle heat. Someone may well have a use for it. But the rest of this, well, that has to go in the bin. Well, we can leave it with this whole unit, but it's not saleable. I was only going to get $5 for it if it was in perfect condition, and it's clearly not. I'll chop the cord off it. So at least we can salvage a little bit of value. And the plug can go in there, and that can go to Ewaste. I'll just clean the top of that off, and we get some electric wire. Righto. Next we have these couple of clock radios and a tangle of wire. Do they purposely tie these in knots before they're given to me? Okay, let's plug this one into the appliance tester and see if we have some life on the front panel yet. It's coming to life. Very dim though. There is a brightness button. There we go. A few settings on brightness. That works okay. We'd have to set the clock, I guess. And that's the radio frequency. Sounds like that's going to work fine. Remembering that in the shed I get a lot of static from the ring light, so I'll turn that off. That's a bit better, but there's a lot of interference in this shed, and I haven't traced it down yet. Something's causing a lot of radio interference. It sounds like we're actually on a station. Let's untangle the antenna wire. Volume works. Tuning. Let's go to a station I know I can pick up around here. There we go, 96.9. One of the stronger stations. So it's working fine. It just got static from being in the shed. So it looks like it's going to be a good goer. I'll work out how to set the time, but let's turn that off, or at least down. And it's quite a neat, sleek, modern unit. No damage. A little bit of a wipe over with Armor All and it will look $1 million. So I think we'll get $10 for that pretty easily. Let's power this little Audio Sonic one up now. Classic red LED display. It's a fairly modern unit and it looks like it's going to work fine as well. Let's check the radio. Okay, same deal here. It looks like this one works okay, other than being in my shed. Let's turn that down. Very noisy. Okay, a couple of good clock radios. I think that's probably only a $5 one. I think it's more of a budget unit. It will clean up fine. It tests okay. There's no damage. We'll go $5 on that. Back to this coffee percolator for a minute. I took the bottom plate off because I like the switch. It's a good rocker switch with a neon globe in it. Easy to access. That switch will be handy. So I like to salvage some parts out of these things before I just take them to Ewaste. We'll grab a little bit of wiring, but we'll unplug that switch first. When they're easy to grab, I like to save them. I often have a tray of switches in the shop, just vintage and just second-hand switches. As long as they're in good condition, then this one appears to work fine. How are we going to get it out? It's got some bend over tabs here, which we've got to flex in. And I usually put them in a tub for $2 each, and they actually sell very well. In fact, I had a tray of them, I reckon about 20, all sorts out of appliances. And one guy comes in one day and says, $2 a switch? I said, yep. And he said, I'll take the lot, and the tray as well if I can have it. So $40, thank you very much, for just a lot of reclaimed switches from old appliances. So people do have a use for them, and I guess if you've got to go and buy one as a spare part, they're a little expensive, certainly if you go and buy 20 of them. There we go. So that's a nice 12 amp, 125 volt. Interesting. It's actually 240 volt here, but it really comes back to power. Oh, this side says 250 volt. Rocker switch with a little neon light in it. So great. That'll go in the $2 box. Whilst we're here, the element is free, and it has some hose clamps which we'll salvage as well off the rubber hose. Might just cut the rubber hose, we don't want that. It's going to have all sorts of yucky old water in there. There's an earth wire we can snip off. So we also, in this section, we will have a thermal fuse, which I do keep, and I use those from time to time. So now just snip that wire, we'll slide the sleeve off. I hang on to this heatproof sleeving as well. There's a rubber sleeve over that. And there's our thermal fuse. These are rated at all different sorts of temperatures, so I like to keep a selection of them in case I'm doing a repair and I need a certain temperature. If you are replacing these thermal fuses in appliances, they do need to be exactly what came out of them. They have to be rated the same, because often things are calibrated for a certain temperature. So a little bit of wiring here, we might as well save that. There's another temperature sensor here. I don't normally save those. I've never had a need to replace one of those ones. So that can just all stay together like that as irony aluminium, because it's got a nichrome wire through it as the heating element. It'll also have a silica type insulating powder in there. We will take these hose clamps because they're easy to get, but no sense cleaning that up anymore. They can go straight in our irony aluminium, and that's all I want. I'll just keep that little sleeve. I don't need that metal plate there. I think it's probably just steel. Yes. So now this can go to Ewaste. So not really much in monetary terms, but I like to salvage what I can. We've got a little bit of wire. We will probably get $1 for our Pyrex jug. Irony aluminium, some little hose clamps, some heat resistant insulating sleeve, a little switch, thermal fuse, and a little bit of hardware. So I don't know, we'll get $2 for the switch. So if we get $1 for the jug, we're actually a long way towards $5 that I would have asked for the thing if it was actually going. But obviously this did take a little bit of time to do. Moving on now to sort out the rest of the stuff. I gave the remote a bit of a clean up. It's actually in very good condition. Only had the single battery, luckily no corrosion. The battery is flat, so that'll go into my bucket of batteries for recycling. And I will hang on to this Panasonic remote until one day it saves the day, because it's exactly the remote I need to complete an audio system. And that happens a lot with remotes, so it's always worth saving those. What else did we have in this box? A little USB cord with the smaller plug here, and that suits quite a few little appliances and things. Just 5 volt USB supply, and I do need those cords from time to time, or I put them in a box at the shop for a couple of bucks. The toothbrush charger, I checked on eBay, and amazingly they actually sell quite regularly. In fact, I didn't see one that didn't sell. Some are only $5. Postage is obviously an issue, but I guess there's times when people want them. It suits the Braun toothbrush brush, which I've actually got one here, and I did take it in and check it. It does work fine. It's quite clean after I gave it a bit of a wash up. No fear in washing these up underwater because they are totally sealed, but best to let it dry out properly before you plug it in again. The cord's in good condition, and it makes me think that maybe sometimes cords get jammed in vanity unit drawers and get creased and people have to buy a new charger. Maybe that's why they sell. I'm going to take that to the shop and put $5 on it. That's much better than the 5 or 10 cents worth of cord I was going to get. These units will have a copper winding in there for remote charging, but it's probably only a very small amount, and it's encased in well, some sort of sealant to seal the whole thing up to make it waterproof, so you wouldn't be able to get the copper out. Hopefully I can get $5 for that, so I'll let you know down the track, of course. The other item we had here was this battery, I think it's a baby monitor. I plugged this one in and it does work. Let's plug it back in. Where was the socket? Here. However, turn it on. It's on transmit all the time. I think the talk button has stuck or something's wrong with it. Being on top, it might have got a lot of dust down there. And when I turn the volume up on the receiver, we get feedback straight away, which means that this thing would be operating all the time. So, I don't know, maybe it does that, and maybe you press that to talk back. But no, I think it picks up sound from here. I can hear it. When I'm tapping that, I can hear it in that one. So, assuming this is the one that you have in the baby's room or anywhere that you wanted to monitor, you're going to be having every single noise come through here all the time. And then why would the baby want to talk to you? I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never used one of these. I have decided that it's not worth trying to repair, because the other issue too is this one's been on charge for a while, and if I take it off, the light goes out straight away, so the batteries are no good. We have, of course, the discoloration of the plastic from the sun. So, and given that it's old technology, you can buy baby monitors and that sort of stuff now so cheaply, and a lot of them even have video screens so you can view what's going on. So this is just not worth the effort to try and resell. Even if it was perfect working order, I doubt I'd get $5 for it. So I'm going to basically scrap it. There's really no scrap value in these. There's no parts that I want. And this one, they're very light, so they're not going to have very much electronics in them. I will keep I think I'll just scrap out the power packs. They are a linear power supply, so they've got a transformer in them. They're quite heavy. These are older ones, as I mentioned, so I'm not going to keep them as power supplies. They're a DC 9 volt, which is very common, and they're only 200 milliamp, so they're not really much good for anything else. If I replace one of these on something, I usually look to put at least 500 milliamp or an amp. So I'm just going to chop the wires off these. We can get some value there, break the transformer out, we'll get a little bit of value there, and these ones can just go to e-waste. The last thing to check on the bench here before we go to the large hanging lights and the printer, which is all we've got to do in this lot, is just this little bud lights. I'll plug them in and see if they work. There we go. They're all glowing. Every single one of them works, and there's even a spare globe. And they look like they're safe according to my appliance tester. There's no issues with the wires. So I'm going to just put them in the free box at the shop, and someone can just have some pretty bud lights for around their doorway or something for free. Now these hanging lamps, there two of them are exactly the same pattern. The other one's slightly different, but they're all, I think, circa 1990s. They're a bit reminiscent of those touch lamps with the glass panels in the metal frames. So probably 80s through to 90s, maybe even early 2000s. They're hanging lamps. They're branded Martech, which I think they're made in China. Must have been more of the earlier Chinese stuff. They've got a plug on the top that goes into your standard light fitting, your bayonet light fitting. So they're complete. They even have globes in them, and they're undamaged. I'm going to ask $10 each for these. Like lamps, they're great. I don't have to do anything to them. I might just wipe the glass over, but they're pretty good actually. There's no damage. And I'm going to put them out the front of the shop at $10 each for the first couple of weeks, like I do with my electrical stuff. Then if they don't sell, we'll drop them to $5 each. I'm pretty sure they'll sell before they get down to the free stage. They are, even though they're dated, they are quite nice hanging ceiling lamps, and I'm sure someone will have a use for them. So Normally with ceiling lamps, I actually hang them up in the shop from ladders I've got in the ceiling, and I'm quite happy for them to hang there for a long time because they look fine. They're not in the road. I don't have to do anything with them. And sooner or later, someone will say, that's exactly what I'm after. If I do hang them up, I tend to put $30 or $40 on them because that kind of reflects the effort it takes for me to go and get a ladder and get them down. Sometimes when the shop's busy and there's customers everywhere, it can be a bit of a pain. So I just price them up, not purely because they're worth more, but because they're on display out of the road and it's a little bit of a hassle to get them down. Hey, you get what you can for stuff. And really it depends on how quickly you want to move it. I do want to move these fairly quickly. They're not the sort of lamps that I really want to hang up. I'd rather have nice antique and decorative lamps up hanging from ladders that just look a bit more interesting rather than these sort of 90s era ones. So we'll see how we go. $10 each. We might get $30 back. Keep an eye on future episodes and we'll let you know how we go there. But it's good. I don't have to do anything to these. Time to check this printer. It's the last thing to do on this episode. It didn't have a cord with it, but I have plenty of cords floating around. You would be surprised if I didn't, right? All right, let's plug it in. I'm hoping it has ink in it, but we have those new cartridges. So I guess we can see if we can install them if it doesn't have any ink in it. All right, so I want it for the photocopier. Let's see if it powers up. Hang on, we'll turn the appliance tester on. Okay, I don't think it's likely to have any electronics problems. Printers generally are fine except for running out of ink or they have some sort of mechanical issues. We'll let it go through its paces and I don't know if it'll give us an indicator on what ink we've got. Oh, it's got some lights here. I assume they come on when the ink's low, so that's a good sign. It actually has Wi-Fi as well. But yeah, I don't really want to use it for printing. I just want to use it for copying. So let's find something to copy and we'll get some paper. We're not going to need the installation disc anyway. And we have quite a lot of these ink cartridges. That's a black one. That's a black one as well, which is great. In fact, oh, there's yellow. So we have different colors as well. Another black one. So lots of black ink cartridges, which is fantastic because that's what we use. I don't know if they're out of date or not, but generally they still work. So this could be great. Lots of black ones. Fantastic. We'll be right for printing for years if these work. Okay, I've got a few sheets of blank paper. I think they go in the bottom one. I think the copy then comes out here. I have an old instruction manual or owner's manual for a pool and chainsaw. It's not glossy, so we'll see if that copy is okay. I guess we just put black, start. Okay. Now, it may have not been used for a long time. We may have to go through a cleaning process to get these ink cartridges to work, or that might work hopefully first go. Fingers crossed. Oh, here we go. Look at this. It's working, kind of. It's got some faint lines, but maybe that's just because the ink's dried out a bit on the ink head. I don't know how we do a deep clean, but I reckon this is going to be great for the shop. I'll have a play with it for a bit and see if we can get any better. Okay, so a quick Google tells me that if I hold stop down until the warning flashes twice, then release stop, it will do a head clean. So I've just done that. It went for a few minutes doing lots of buzzing and carrying on. That's finished now. Apparently, if we do stop and one flash and then let go, it will print a test pattern. So let's see what happens there. Okay, it looks like it still has a bit of a fuzzy line through it. So not sure. Let's just try another copy and see where that goes. Okay, the same as the first one. I think we can do a deeper head clean. I'll have to look into that. Otherwise, I could just swap out one of the cartridges and see how we go. But I think this printer's going to be okay. So after a little bit of mucking around, I'm going to give up on this. I couldn't get any joy from copying Even after doing a deep head clean, I also pulled the cartridge out and cleaned the contacts with IPA. There appears to be still ink in it, but I think it's just dried out because it's been inactive for so long. And ideally we need to replace the cartridge. Problems though, these cartridges do not suit. They are for Canon Pixma printers, but a different model to this one. So they're a different shaped cartridge. I didn't even bother trying to see if there's an expiry date. Given these are still sealed, they should be okay, but they all suit a different model Pixma to this one. So, okay, we're not going to get any joy out of this. I will hang on to this printer just for now because I've kind of worked out how to use it, and I do turn up cartridges from time to time, so we might find one. I might even be able to pick up some next time we go to an office supply place. I really don't want to buy in cartridges, but then again, this is a nice small compact printer that will work great as a copier, and we do need to copy our stock sheets, so maybe I might just buy a new printer cartridge. I'll hang on to these as well because there's every chance that I'm going to get, I do get a lot of these Canon printers, and there's every chance we'll get one that these cartridges suit. So whether we then get a printer that's operational to sell or we keep it for our use, that's to be decided. I'm not going to value these at anything for now. If the thing was working and these did suit it, I'd probably only ask $20 or something in the shop for it anyway. But I was more interested in trying to get it for, to work for our use. But at this stage, I'll store that and I'll hang on to these. No dramas. We'll probably get another Canon printer shortly to sort it out, and I may just buy a cartridge for that one. Okay, so that finishes going through everything. So let's have a look at our haul for this week. We have some ceiling lamps. We have the desk lamp there. I forgot about testing the antenna, TV antenna booster there, but that should work. I do need to find a power supply for it, but we'll just ask $5 for that. This little USB fan's a ripper, and I'm definitely keeping this. I charged it up, and it's been going for a few hours in the shed, and it's still full charge. It has an LED light on top, and the fan has one click for on, and then a variable speed. It's pretty cool, and it moves a fair bit of air. So it's light, it's compact, it doesn't need to be plugged in if there's a power supply failure, like the electricity goes out. I'm going to hang on to that one. $4. They retail new, these ones, for around about $50 or $60, so I think that's a good little find. I'm hanging on to that. We have our free plastic bag, clock radios, and we have our item to flip, seeing so we're not going to sell the fan. Freebies, the $1 jug, the printer that we're going to keep just for now, and if I get sick of it, it will be scrapped, but hopefully I can find a cartridge for it. This is all we're sending to Ewaste, is just the remains of the coffee percolator and the baby monitor, and we also have a little bit of scrap and some hardware and the remote control. So not a bad little haul this week. Very little to throw out, which is the main aim of the game, and I should be able to make a few dollars, particularly if those ceiling lights sell. Let's have a look at the notepad, where it shows a total of $65 potential return, plus the $10 for the copper brass jug. $75? Yeah, hopefully. I can't see things not selling for those prices. So I think we'll do okay there. And we got a nice fan to keep, and potentially a printer, which will be very useful. Let's check out last week's to see how we went there. I think I mentioned that we'd sold all the lamps. Well, we did. The two really nice glass shade touch lamps sold the first day. I didn't even put a price tag on them. And that wasn't anyone that saw it on a Facebook ad or anything, just a customer came in the shop. The other ones sold all for the full price, so we did really well there. $80 back for lamps that I really didn't have to do anything to. We sold the kettle, and we sold the hair crimper and the food processor. So we've turned over a bit of stuff just in one weekend. I did drop the power boards down to $6 from $10, and I don't think I'll bother testing and tagging power boards anymore, because I did look up online and you can buy them brand new for a bit over $3, so that's why I've dropped them to $6. So yeah, they're just not going to be worthwhile. I can get brass out of them, I can get the copper wire, so I think I'll scrap them, unless they're switched power boards. You pay a fair bit more for ones with individual switches, but just the basic ones I'm going to scrap each time now. I think it's just easier. I haven't sold them, by the way. They've been in the shop for $3 each for one weekend and didn't sell. So we didn't sell the lamp or the pottery, but I'm not worried about those. Those look really nice in the shop, so they can sit there for now. But good turnover for the first weekend. The previous weekend, look at this. We've sold the lamps, the kettle, the DVD player, the hair dryers, and the hair styler. There is only that retro pink foot warmer left, which I would be very surprised if it actually sells, but I thought I'd give it a go. Haven't sold the shoes or that desk stand yet, but again, the stuff I buy to flip isn't really the urgency. So just about everything crossed off that list. Next week, we will probably drop the foot warmer down to $2, and if we can't sell it, it'll be scrapped just for the copper wire and the cord, but pretty good otherwise. Back to part 8, where we have discounted some things to half price. The pie maker is still there at half price. Sold a lot of other stuff though. The tea clock radio's down to $5. The waffle bowl, that surprised me. I thought that would have sold at $10, but it's down to $5. And yeah, we've still got that blue bottle, but most of that stuff's gone. Oh, the Sony unit that needs repair, that will probably be scrapped. I don't think anyone's prepared to take that on. And there might be a reasonable board in that, so we may scrap that out on video. But most of that's gone. Further back to week 7, and everything has sold. We can cross this off. The only thing I actually crossed out was the Bluetooth headphones, because I still haven't found a charger for those. Both jewellery cabinets have sold. Remember, one we got for free out of their rubbish bin. The other one I paid $5 for, so we got $15 for that. The candelabra, I think I paid $2 for, maybe $1. We got $10 for that. So everything is sold there. We can put a line through that page. And episode 6, again, everything has sold except the ceiling fan remote controls. And I'm going to put a line through that as well, because they are in the shop now. They're not out the front, and I'm not worried about that. Someone who knows what they're doing will love those at $5 each. So there we go. We've cleaned up all the previous parts to this. I've already had a line through them as well. So my strategy is working. Things are not hanging around, and we're still getting a pretty good return. I'm liking this strategy, and we are moving a lot of stuff into people's homes, rehoming them. They're still being useful, and they're not going to waste. I've got to say, putting a line through a page is most satisfying. I've always liked doing lists, and you guys have to suffer my lists, but how good is crossing off a whole page? Successful deals, successful saving, making some dollars, keeping other people happy with some bargains. How can we lose? Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.